2023 at 4:00 p.m. I am officially calling the meeting to order. Item 2, consider approval of the usage of outlay money to fund the Mead Park plans not to exceed $200,000.
All right, good afternoon. Just bringing this topic to the Finance and Property Committee. We were talking about this for almost like a year now, and we applied for a grant through the Legacy Foundation, and we were granted it. So now what they're doing is asking us to bring $200,000 to the table to do the improvements to Mead Park. Attached on the agenda, you can see that we kind of broke down what items would be costing: the pickleball court, the fencing, the shade sail, and then the playground. Obviously, all these would have to go out to public bid for us to keep continuing on this project. Again, I think we're very fortunate that we were granted this to make this improvement to the west side, which is, I think, in desperate need of improvements, especially with the playground next to the water, the splash pad, excuse me. And I think bringing additional courts to Wisconsin Rapids for pickleball, it would be, I think it's a huge necessity, just because if you ever drive by Witter Park, those courts are piled. I mean, there's a line usually waiting to get on those courts. And I think also by having more courts in town, we could bring tournaments to the city, which obviously would create revenue. So as I stated before, we're looking at not exceeding $200,000 with our park outlay money, which right now we have currently $337,000 in there. And again, each year we get more room tax money funded into the park outlay. So if you think about it, 3 years from now, this would be that $200,000. If we do go $200,000, will be paid off in 3 years.
Questions? Comments? Jake? Did you have a question?
Could you explain the funding again, please? What's the grant from Legacy, and could you explain these? The grant from commercial recreational specialists?
Yeah, that's so that at the bottom of that sheet we have a grant that we got 2 years ago, $18,372 that we have not touched yet. So this would also go towards the park. And then if you see that, a lot of playground companies now, if we say they'll match grants. So if we have a grant of $18,000, they'll match that $18,000, therefore creating $36,000 right off the bat.
Okay.
And then partnering with the school district too helped us get this grant. We're hoping that both sides come together, especially with the playground structure, because they're also going to open bid for that. That's going to save money on freight and then installation of the pour and play. So we're kind of tying a little bit in with the school as well, not on their property, just the whole project.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess a little bit more on the request now is that Park and Rec had discussed possibly just waiting till budget time and do this part of the budget process. But in discussions at the Park and Rec Commission meeting, it was discussed that potentially there could be some work to do this fall. And so that's why it's coming forward now to to request it instead of at budget time. As Jake pointed out, this is room tax dollars, so it's not tax levy dollars, it's room tax dollars that would be utilized for that match. Yeah, and this is a great partnership for with the school district. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to go by Woodside School and see their new playground there, but it's phenomenal. And this would be good for, the work that the school district's doing at Mead School in the playground there, and all that's going to be redone along in conjunction with this. This will be a great west side kind of like destination area for kids to go and play and utilize the park there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, what the mayor was just saying is that had we waited till budget time, then we wouldn't even be able to get it started on it until spring, if that, and then it would probably be well into the summer before we could complete it. This way we would at least get a good head start on the project.
Yeah, they were hoping that possibly that some earthwork could be done and some of those type of things that could be done this fall to kind of jumpstart. But, and that's why the request is coming in now instead of waiting till budget time.
Thank you. Tom?
I'll just echo what Mayor and Dean said too. I think it's a good project to move forward with at this point in time. Hotel motel tax money and that, so it's I think a good project to move forward. The matches that's there and that type of stuff. And Woodside, the playground there is terrific what they have there. So I think we can work in conjunction with them or somehow with the school, it benefits all of us. So thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Tim, do you have any issues or anything with everything's good with the money? All right. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I got a motion by Veneman, second by Bemke to approve the motion. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, 3-0. Thanks, Jake. Item 3, consider a request from Pacific Oil LLC, Binkender S. Salah, agent for retail Class A intoxicating liquor license and retail Class A fermented malt beverages license for the premises located at 3660 8th Street South. Jennifer?
This one and also number 4 are properties that are being sold, so the new owners are applying for the alcohol licenses. All the paperwork is in order. I have what I need, so I recommend approval.
All right, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I move. Jay?
No, I don't
No,
have
okay,
anything.
all right. Seeing none, I move to vote. All those in favor say, oh, wait. Sorry, what are your wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I got a motion by Bemke, seconded by Veneman. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, 3-0. Item 4, consider a request from Kalasa Oil LLC, Binkender S. Salah, agent for retail Class A intoxicating liquor license and retail Class A fermented malt beverages license for the premises located at 2411 8th Street South. Jennifer, you said everything is in order?
That's correct.
Okay, any other questions or comments from anyone?
Move to approve.
Second.
I got a motion by Bemke, seconded by Veneman. Any other questions or comments?
Dean made the motion, I seconded it.
I got a motion by Veneman, seconded by Bemke. My apologies. Seeing no other questions or comments, I move to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, 3-0. Item 5, update on a request from the Community Development Department to apply for 2024 Wood County Economic Development Grant in the amount of $25,000 to create a downtown development master plan. Kyle.
Thank you. This item was approved by the seed committee for the grant about a month ago in July. However, the item still needs to go to county board in November. So while the seed committee approved it unanimously, it's technically not official until all of the grant applications for their seed funding is made part of their budget in November. So I wanted to update you on that and also identify that when I reached out to a few communities that have recently done downtown plans, they've ranged in price from about $80,000 to almost $200,000. I think it depends on the level of detail, the level or the size of the city, and because of this, I guess, increased cost, we've talked internally about a way perhaps we could approach this hybridly, wherein our office handles the public engagement component, hosts the public meetings, shares the information, gets the feedback at those public meetings and sessions, does all the website management and so forth. And I think there'll be a pretty large cost savings if that's the route we go, because then the consultant doesn't have to invest time in travel up to Rapids or down to Rapids, wherever they're located, and then the time and effort to host those public meetings. So wanted to update you with that regard and ask for additional feedback on how you think we should pursue this moving forward. You can recall that there was $50,000 of TIF funding in the downtown TIF to possibly be utilized with this $25,000 grant. Again, I think some of you also noted about putting the RFP out first and then, seeing what sort of responses we get and the costs associated. If that's the direction, we'll certainly go that route, but perhaps we should wait until November, and then maybe at that time we can also bring the item back for action to utilize TIF funding. Or again, we can just get the RFP out and see what the costs come back at. But again, I would caution that approach just because I don't think a lot of planning firms will jump at the opportunity to bid a project and put the time and effort in responding to an RFP if they know that it's not funded. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Questions, comments? Jake?
So you said 50,000 in the TIF. Is there more in that TIF? And when does that TIF expire?
I do believe the expenditure period for the downtown, or TIF number 8, is 2027.
And do you know what's in that off the top of your head?
I don't know what's exactly in there now, but we're based on the expenditures and the projected tax increment over the life of the TID. The expenditure period ends at 2027, but the TID doesn't close until, I think, 2033. So with the amount of increment, I'm projecting we'll have about a $3 million surplus if we don't spend any more money at this point going forward.
And you're asking for 50,000, was that the ask?
The ask is for 50 because it was previously identified in the TIF project plan to do neighborhood planning at that amount. I think, and Tim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in excess of that amount, I think we'd have to go back to the TIF board to utilize additional dollars.
Tim?
Well, usually, I mean, the projects are estimates, and you can exceed what, that's not a finite budget. So it all depends on how much you exceeded. So it's like if all of a sudden it was like 75,000 or whatever, I wouldn't say that that would be an issue with the TIF plan because they're just estimates, and it says in the plan that, these are estimates, and plus, when the plan is done, you have inflation over time. It really is a judgment call depending on how much you're exceeding, what was originally put in the budget and if the scope has changed or anything like that. So we do have some leeway on that number.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Jake?
So what you're recommending is that we wait till November, once their budget's passed, and then talk about the additional money for this?
Yeah, you guys had asked for certainty in the grant, and technically, while the seed committee approved it, it still has to go through budgets. To give you an idea, the seed committee approved about twice as much as they did last year. So I think, and some of them weren't necessarily unanimous either, so a few of them might get called out. Given ours was unanimous with little conversation, discussion, it's supported by the planning staff over there as well. I don't think ours is at risk as some of the other ones that were for, upwards of $100,000 or $200,000 for, a bathroom project in Pittsville or wherever they were. But I think it's technically not official yet till it goes through county board's budget.
Thank you.
Anyone else? So at this time, what would you request from us?
So I would advise at this time to wait if you want that certainty. I think in November, we would possibly then look for, depending on how the meetings line up, for action then to utilize TIF dollars to couple with that grant. Again, the only question mark then is the RFP process. Again, I would recommend that we wait and secure the dollars and then release the RFP so it's official. However, if you wanted me to continue to, circulate with other communities and get some estimates of their recent plans or present other items before you, I can certainly do that. Or if you want me to release an RFP prior to actually earmarking the dollars, we can do that also.
But you said it kind of works in reverse, right? It doesn't, most people aren't going to want to spend the time. So we're asking for the money up front so that we can get the RFP. And you brought this before us before, and we got it to council, and we said we want to know what the RFP costs first.
Yeah, there was some questioning about the process. I think the process is a little bit different than a road project or something where, you can easily identify a linear foot for asphalt, curb and gutter and so forth and put that on a quote. In the planning field, it's a little bit different. There's a lot more in-depth responses to RFPs based on the community, the size, what we're looking for in a downtown plan. So we'll get responses that are 15 to 20 pages long. So the consultant puts a lot of time and effort into responding to those RFPs. And my fear is that if we don't have the money solidified prior to releasing that RFP, that we may not get as many responses. Because we have, people will call as they're filling out the RFP and say, is this a for sure thing? Can you exceed that budget at all if we submitted a bid for it over that amount and so forth? Even before they've submitted their RFP, they'll call with those types of questions. So I think we stand in a better position if we have identified this project and earmarked the dollars for the project.
So I know I talked to you about, is it possible at this point to make this a living document, kind of what we've talked about before, where instead of buying it one time and then we look at it and we say, great, and we put it on the shelf, and 10 years later we look at it again and say we need a new one? Is there a way to work with a company that can kind of work with us on a continual basis to update things that are happening and change so that it's a continual, instead of, I know we need one lump sum to make it happen, but I think I'd rather see something that every year is updated and it continues to follow the city as the city grows. Is that possible, or is that?
That would be our intent, yes. I think along with the hybrid approach where we're handling a lot of the public engagement, we would probably either on an annual basis or biannual basis bring back updates, changes. We'd thoroughly go through things that have been met, check mark goals and objectives, tasks that have been met. So during our RFP release, we would clearly indicate what sort of implementation plan we're looking for that is more of a living document that can be updated annually or every other year. And then I think the biggest component is that we identify and have access to all of the plans, documents, maps, charts, graphs that are included within the plan, right, in their original format. So in the event we want to update those moving forward, we don't just have a PDF. We have basically everything to do so.
Then we're not starting over from scratch.
Yep, so we'd have everything in their original format.
Okay.
And that's becoming more common practice. Previously, you'd get an electronic PDF and 10 hard copies of the plan.
Okay.
And that's what you'd have for the next, 5 or 10 years of implementing that plan.
Okay.
I think now, in the planning industry, it's evolving into having, right, files in original formats and kind of the living version of the plan. A lot of municipalities are using like GIS story maps to be able to kind of tell the story of the plan and walk the public through, maybe the different phases of the plan, and then that story map can be easily adjusted in the event that amendment happens to the plan.
Okay.
So I think technology is being utilized to help ensure that this becomes a living document rather than 10 hard copies of and an electronic PDF.
Good, good. Thank you.
Yep.
Mayor Blazer?
So if the decision is to wait, what maybe the thought would be is to, get that RFP to council members ahead of time so you can see what is being requested. And you might think of something that you would like to see in the plan at the same time. And at least you'd have an idea, what this is really going to be. Just a thought.
Okay, thank you. Jay?
Kyle, is this, these updates, is this something that we'd have to have the consultant back in to do, or is this something staff would be doing on an ongoing basis?
After the initial plan's created, would be something staff would lead. With the original file formats and everything, we would handle the updates moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, so are there any wishes by the committee? Just kind of,
It's not an action item.
no, I know, but
Agree
is
in
there anything
principle
that,
To think about it in a month or so.
okay,
Yeah, and in the meantime, I think the mayor has a great point. We'll go ahead and draft the RFP, hold it, and then in November, perhaps bring it back and make it part of the approval for the TIF funding, and then the approval of that, the release of that RFP. And at that point, you could obviously request additional details added to that RFP and comment further on it.
all right, thank you. Anything else? All right, so no action taken on item 5, moving on to item 6, budget discussions. Tim?
Sure. Just kind of give you an update where the budget stands. We have, all the departments have submitted their 2024 budget requests. There's a few cleanup items on those, but I've been compiling those and putting those together. And so I guess I know that the mayor and I have discussed that we're going to be in the next couple of weeks probably holding internal meetings to kind of meet with the department heads, go over their budgets, and ask some questions. My question to you is would you like a copy of those initial requests? And then obviously, as we review them, if we make changes, then we could communicate those changes to you. And then obviously when, this committee of the whole or the council wants to start reviewing departmental budgets, I would issue a clean copy, but you would have all the changes from the original. Is that something you'd like, or would you just rather wait till we're done internally, kind of looking over those and making changes, and then, give you those department budgets? Or I can give you a copy of those now, and you can kind of start looking through those. And like I said, if we make any changes, when we're doing our internal meetings, I would obviously, enumerate those in a document. So it's kind of up to the committee and what you prefer. That'd be my first question.
Thank you.
I don't have a preference on that.
What's that?
I don't have a preference on that either.
I don't either.
Okay. Is this something, last year I was able to be a part of those internal? Was that this round of internals, or do you want to crack at it before one of us sit in, or?
If you feel it'd be valued for you to take part in it again, that would be fine.
I would like to. Anybody else want to join, or no?
Wait, then it's a
No.
committee meeting then.
What's that?
Then it's a finance meeting then, so we don't want to have it's not the internal budget meetings really isn't designed for a finance committee meeting, so if they're going to have because you're going to do that anyways
Okay.
down the road. So I just wanted, like last year, I wanted to present an opportunity for you to sit in on it so you could better learn. And I don't have an issue with that again.
Again, I guess I'm confused. Is that what we're talking about now, or would it be after you guys talk to the departments separate?
I'm sorry, what was your,
Are you talking about two separate times that you would meet with them first, and then I would meet with you and them?
no,
Or do it all
you
at
would
the
meet with
same
us
time?
the first time like we did last year.
Okay,
But when you invited other members, then you're creating a finance committee meeting.
I see. Sorry.
So
Okay.
now you have a quorum of a meeting. So,
All right.
yeah, I want to take a first run through the budgets and potentially make changes. Or that's why I think Tim's asking is, do you want the copy of their budget? Then technically you can compare it. So if I make any changes to it, then you've got something to look at, which if I do make any changes, I would be forthcoming and tell you what those are. There are a couple areas I have a little concern about, but, so yeah, it's really up to you.
So to answer your question then, me personally, I would like to see a copy of the department budget, and then after the changes are made, what changes were made.
Yep.
And what we're looking at.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
All right, Tom?
Is that something that we could have too, or just with the finance group?
No,
I would distribute it to all, the
All of
council,
us?
the entire council, yeah.
well, I think that's also another question is, are we going to do this as a committee of the whole process again, or the finance committee?
Well, this is laid out as if we did
The-
the whole process.
Right, and this is the way it was last year, the dates you have there. This is what occurred last year, and just wanted to make sure if you still wanted to do that process as a committee of the whole.
I think so.
I personally think it's better, but
I think.
I agree.
And I do think that's good that you sit in.
All right,
I think it's a good learning opportunity too, to see that discussion, and
Well, as chairman of.
I hope so.
Yeah.
All right.
that's why I
um,
invited him last year, and
Yeah,
he's
thank
welcome
you.
again this year.
No, I appreciate it. Any other
Look,
thoughts?
Yeah.
Tim?
Yeah, my second, thing was, like, obviously I gave you kind of the schedule of what what the schedule was last year. And I guess I kind of want to have some discussion on, obviously, the mayor addressed whether we'd want to do it at the finance committee level or the committee of the whole. But I think, I hear that we'd probably schedule committee of the whole meetings to have the departments come in and review the budget. I mean, obviously, we'll have the budget overview, but then we'll also have the individual discussions at the department head level. And this was the schedule last year, so is this kind of want to get your thoughts as to when you'd like to start, the process? Last year, we basically started in the month of October was pretty much when we went through that. Obviously, it's the 5th of September, so it all depends. I mean, we'll probably over the next 2 weeks probably have those meetings scheduled and gone through. And so looking at, kind of what type of timeline you guys would like to begin that committee of the whole review.
Jennifer, did you go through these dates? Or oh, okay.
Those dates are last year's
Those are
dates,
just last year's
Oh,
dates,
okay.
as an example.
as an example of what we did
Yeah,
last year,
I
so.
I see, I thought you were suggesting, gotcha.
So,
So,
Jay?
I think the process went pretty smooth last year. I like the committee of the whole, and I think we can base it off of what we did last year. I mean,
I agree.
rooms being available, or
So I guess what I could suggest is maybe the mayor and I can put together a tentative schedule. You comfortable starting October, pretty much the month of October?
Yes.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put together a tentative schedule, and then maybe we can discuss it at the council meeting later this month, as far as like,
Yes.
as part of this, I guess, this report, I can provide that document, and then that way we have the entire council, since this will be the committee of the whole, and you guys can, adjust it as fit or like that, and I'll distribute it before so people have a time to kind of look at their own personal schedules in that schedule, so.
Yeah, I think when we're trying to fit in that much in a short time, we kind of set the dates, and whoever can make it, can make it. That's how we did it last year. Mayor Blazer?
also, Tim pointed out to me today, and I'll be putting it on the council agenda, but since there's 5 of you here, something to think about this year, November's council's Thanksgiving's week, so if we want to intend to change that, which will change the budget hearing, because we usually hold that the Thursday before, and so that discussion will take place at our next council meeting, but something to think about since it is Thanksgiving week and Sacred Deer Hunting Week.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? All right. All right, thank you, Tim. Item 6 has no action. Item 7, audit of the bills. Jay?
I'll make a motion to approve check number 18197 to 18606.
I'll second. I got a motion by Bemke, seconded by Zacher. Any questions, any comments? Seeing none, I move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, 3-0. Item number 8, set next meeting date. October 3rd. Any comments or concerns?
Works for me.
Works for me.
All right, and we'll have access to this room? Yep. So October 3rd, 4 o'clock in this room is the next meeting date. Item number 9, adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Veneman, seconded by Bemke to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, 2-0. Meeting adjourns at 4:31. Thank you, everybody.